Phoenix's first skill is Icarus Dive. Phoenix flies forward in an arc and then comes back at his original location. Icarus Dive costs no mana, but it will take 15% of Phoenix's current HP at the beginning of the spell. This HP loss is not considered as damage, but as HP removal, which means it doesn't cancel items like Urn, Salves, or Clarities, but it also means the HP cost can't be reduced by magic resistance or increased by going ethereal. Magic immunity doesn't prevent the HP cost either. Icarus Dive will debuff all enemy hits for 4 seconds, slowing them by 25% and dealing damage over time, from a total of 40 magic damage at level 1 to 280 at level 4. Walking on a fire trail left behind will not burn you, only contact with Phoenix during his dive will. Be careful not to miss your target, as there is a small area in the middle of the arc that Phoenix doesn't touch when diving. Both the damage and the slow can be removed by Purge or by going magic immune. Icarus Dive can be considered as forced movement. Phoenix's path is fixed after casting and will always arc from the left to the right. Dive will ignore terrain, but it won't destroy any spells. Phoenix can also attack, cast Fire Spirits or Supernova and use items while diving. I have personally not managed to activate Sunray mid-flight, so I will not include it in the list. Diving also does not grant Phoenix flying vision, and he will keep his regular sight range. Remember that Icarus Dive will be replaced by a Stop Icarus Dive sub-ability during the dive, allowing you to stop when and where you desire. While diving, Force Staff can be used but will have no effect. Blink Dagger and Mental Style will instantly cancel Icarus Dive, and Shadow Blade will make both Phoenix and the dive's burning trail invisible, although the debuff will still be applied. Shiva's Guard AoE will photo Phoenix during the flight, covering a huge AoE. Other items work as usual. Enemies also have means to stop Phoenix during Icarus Dive. Most hard disables like Hex, Stuns, Sleep, or Disruption will stop Phoenix in his track, mini stun included, which makes playing Phoenix against Sniper or anyone with the MKB a huge pain. Icarus Dive is currently not cancelled by Cyclone of any type. Eul Scepter and Invoker's Tornado will not stop Phoenix, although Invoker's Tornado will still damage him. Rubik's Telekinesis also doesn't work, and any Untangle or Ensnare type spell will only stop Phoenix once the dive is complete. Phoenix can also dive through Chronosphere without any issues, and will ignore all trap type spells such as Pounce, Power Cog, or Kinetic Field. Taunts like Berserker Core or Duel will not stop Phoenix either, but it will force him to walk back afterwards. Slows and Silence will affect Phoenix normally, but have no incidence on Icarus Dive. Note that Cyclone or Telekinesis not affecting Icarus Dive may be fixed in the future, in which case check the description below the video for updates. Fire Spirits is Phoenix's second skill. It costs both mana as well as 15% of Phoenix's current HP, following the same rules as Icarus Dive. Casting Fire Spirits will create 4 little spirits around Phoenix, which can be thrown independently, and it will also replace the ability with a Launch Fire Spirits sub-ability. Launch Fire Spirits can be used a maximum of 4 times, and each time will throw a spirit at a 900 movement speed. After 16 seconds, all spirits which haven't been used are wasted and the icon turns back to Fire Spirits. Each spirit will inflict debuff to all enemy units in a 175 radius, heavily reducing the target's attack speed and dealing damage over time. This damage does not stack, throwing multiple spirits will only refresh the duration. Each spirit deals a total of 300 magic damage at max level, meaning that Fire Spirits can potentially deal 1200 damage if chained perfectly. Fire Spirits does not affect magic immune units, and the debuff can be purged. Fire Spirits cooldown start ticking as soon as the spirits are created. At max level, if you wait until your spirits run out, Fire Spirits cooldown will only be 14 seconds. Remember that if your enemy is running away with low health, you can throw Fire Spirits while using Icarus Dive to finish them and quickly back out. In Dota 1, each spirit also had 300 flying vision, which is not the case at the moment in Dota 2. Phoenix's third ability is Sunray. While graphically pretty simple to understand, the numbers behind Sunray are not intuitive at all, making it hard to know about how much damage this big laser actually does. Just like his 2 previous skills, Sunray requires Phoenix to sacrifice a fair amount of HP. However, unlike what we just saw, Sunray drains Phoenix HP every 0.2 second at a rate of 6% HP per second. For those who often handle math, you may have already recognized a simple geometric sequence with a 0.94 ratio. Assuming Phoenix doesn't take any damage or get healed while channeling, after 6 seconds, Phoenix will have lost 31% of the HP he had when he started Sunray, and not 36%. This value decreases if Phoenix loses extra health in the process, and increases if he gets healed in the meantime. Sunray's damage calculation is also very complex, as it scales up to twice the initial damage which means the damage is increased by 1/5 every second. To keep it short, the maximum damage output of Sunray at max level is 270 plus 36% of the enemy's max HP if you manage to keep the ray on them for the entire duration. Since allies are also healed for half this amount, the maximum healing is 135 plus 18% of your allies' max HP. Sunray deals pure damage, so it can't be reduced by magic resistance, but magic immune units will ignore Sunray's damage, although magic immune allies will still be healed by the Sunray. Sunray also grants vision in a very small AoE around the beam. During Sunray, Phoenix gains two sub-abilities, Stop Sunray and Toggle Movement. By default, Phoenix will be unable to move while channeling Sunray and can only turn at a reduced rate of approximately 30 degrees per second. Using Toggle Movement will make Phoenix fly at a fixed 250 movement speed in the direction of his beam. Movement speed modifiers will have no effect on this sub-ability. Slows like Open Wound, speed bonus like Haste, or even items like Boots will be ignored for the duration of Sunray, but will resume normally after the skill ends. Much like Icarus Dive, Phoenix gains flying movement during Sunray and will fully ignore terrain and trap-type spells like Power Cogs. Phoenix will also destroy trees when moving through them, and ensnare and entangle spells will have no effect until the end of Sunray, with the exception of Crystal Maiden's Frostbite, which apparently mini-stunts before applying entangle, effectively cancelling Sunray. Unlike Icarus Dive, however, silencing Phoenix immediately stops Sunray. Blink Dagger can be used while channeling, but Force Staff works normally. If Phoenix uses Eul Scepter on himself, Sunray will keep channeling toward the direction he was facing, and Phoenix will keep losing HP while in the air. However, if Phoenix is cycloned by an enemy, be it with Eul Scepter or Invoker's Tornado, Sunray will immediately end. Invisibility also has some strange interaction with Sunray. If Phoenix goes invisible while channeling Sunray, the enemies will still see the beam for the duration of the spells, but the visual will not update any rotation or movement. In short, they will only be able to know if Phoenix is still using Sunray, but the sunbeam appearing on the screen is entirely inaccurate. Take this information with a grain of salt, however, as the tests are conducted in single-player setting and Phoenix Beam does not update anymore after doing that, making Sunray glitch even when he is visible. Also remember that using Sunray sub-abilities will cancel invisibility. Just like his other spells, Phoenix can use Icarus Dive when using Sunray, effectively bombarding the entire area with the beam, although the damage is very inefficient with this method. Phoenix can also use Fire Spirits, just like he can use items while channeling Sunray without cancelling it. Phoenix's ultimate is Supernova. Phoenix immediately turns into a burning sun for 6 seconds, dealing damage over time to all enemies unit in a huge 1000 AoE for a maximum of 600 magic damage at max level. If the sun is still alive after 6 seconds, all enemies in the AoE are stunned, and Phoenix will reappear with full HP mana and his other spells cooldown are refreshed. Unlike Refresher Orb or Tinker's Rearm, Supernova does not refresh Phoenix's item cooldown. Magic Immunity blocks Supernova's damage over time, but the stun still goes through. During Supernova, Phoenix is hidden and invulnerable inside the sun, much like Brewmaster in his Earth's Bruling. This means any aura Phoenix is currently carrying will be available near the sun, including Radiant's Burning Aura, which can increase Supernova's total damage output by 300 magic damage. Another interesting mechanic comes from Chen's Test of Faith. If you try to send Phoenix back before he uses Supernova, Phoenix will reappear at base when Supernova ends, assuming the sun didn't die, of course. However, this interaction does not seem to work with Disruptor's Glimpse. Phoenix is also unable to use items while in Supernova. The sun is immune to all abilities, including ally spells like Moonlight Shadow or Weave, and can only be damaged by enemy heroes, even if towers and creeps will still attempt to attack it like a regular unit. Similar to Pugza's Nether Ward, Supernova requires a set number of attacks to be destroyed, which means even poor supports with no damage items can easily contribute to killing it. Illusions will deal no damage, but Meepo's clones are considered as regular heroes for that purpose. It is also currently possible for allies to deny the sun once it drops below 50% HP, although I'm not really sure this is intended. Denying Supernova will not reward enemies with gold or XP. If the sun dies, Phoenix dies with it. The AoE damage will immediately stop and Supernova will not stun anyone.